Yes, very good evening to one and all. It's again such a pleasure to see you all back again uh, to our summit, School Leadership Summit on NEP 2020 in association with Atria University, Bangalore and Finance Peer. Also from last, 2 days, we've been talking about our NEP and what new things are in store for our children, and I know all the principals, teachers, and our dear parents as well are looking forward. And of course, it's a welcome upgrade to our education system and to make India a global powerhouse of knowledge. So, and people, those who have missed the session, I just want to give you a little overview so that we are set, for the session. And let me share my screen with you all. Yeah, just a minute. Setting it up. So, we've been talking about our new education policy brought by Union Cabinet, which we have spoken about, like from nursery to college level, it will go and it will bring in many new changes to our education system. So here are the highlights. Like it aims to make, our India a global knowledge powerhouse. And even our cabinet has renamed the Ministry of Human Resource Development to the Ministry of Education. And this is the third major revamp of the framework of education in India since independence. So the two earlier education policies were brought in 1968 and 1986, and this is the structure which we have been, we've been discussing. The first, as you all know, which is from nursery to grade 2. Second is from grade 3 to 5. Fourth is we are going to talk about ages 14 to 18, grades 9 to 10. We are going to focus on this segment, the secondary stage, and all our panel members and our moderator is going to drill the maximum, you can say, capacity of this segment. So we are really looking forward. And this, you can say, diagram which you are all familiar with, the old one and the new one, which you can see. So so here are the key elements which we have already discussed. So it will bring, you can say, new changes, especially for 3 to 6 years under school curriculum, that is for our Anganwadis, preschools, and coming to grade 1 and 2. 12 years of schooling, which was always there, with 3 years of, preschool. It will be that way. So class 10 and 12 board examination to be made easier, it will be concept based. Okay, and with all students allowed to take exam twice. So I'm just bringing out the key element which we had discussed and which we will be discussing. School governance is to set change with a new accreditation framework and an independent authority to regulate both public and private schools so that our principals get enough time to focus on implementation. Okay, and then emphasis on foundational literacy and numeracy we have discussed yesterday already. And vocational education we discussed it in the third session, which will start from class 6. So teaching up to at least grade 5 to be in mother tongue or regional language, which again will depends from state to state government. So no language will be imposed on any student. Assessment reforms with 360-degree holistic approach and progress. Our progress card will be based on this segment. So, National Curriculum Framework for Teacher Education, that is NCFTE 2021, will be formulated by the National Council for Teacher Education, that is NCTE, and it will be done in consultation with NCRT. So, this we are assuming that it will be done by 2030. The minimum degree qualification for teaching will be a 4-year integrated B.Ed degree, which will be compulsory. But by 2030, we have time for that. So, and the rest presentation, I will take it later. Okay. So, Now I am looking forward for all the members to participate and bring the entire, NEP of this segment, that is the secondary stage from grade 9 to 12. And now for this, I have a wonderful moderator from the Times of India NI newspaper in education, Priyanka Sarod. And she is working as an officer over there. She also, edits these reports which we send to her, and we really trouble her for that. Every now and then we call her, and then we do all these editing through her. And she is a dynamic personality, and she loves writing poems, and you'll see, and she's a well-known blogger as well. So Priyanka, I'm really looking forward for your insights as well for this session. Over to you, Priyanka.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think that was a very generous introduction to my profile. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. I'm indeed humbled to share the space with such veterans, educators, and experts who have joined us today from diverse fields. I would also like to thank EduDrone for coming up with this very timely discussion. The National Education Policy, as we know, is a seminal movement that will bring about a holistic change to our education system that has been long awaited. I hope the session today will help us understand the nuances and the way forward with NEP 2020. Thank you all. So I think without further ado, I would now like to introduce the panelists for today's discussion, who will deliberate on the national education policy that will focus on the secondary stage, that is particularly grades 9 to 12. Our first panelist for the session is Ms. Vishakha Gupta. She is the principal at Beacon High School. She holds an extensive experience of 22 years in the field of teaching learning. She has been a CBSE teacher trainer for a couple of capacity building programs and is a recipient of appreciation by the HRD Ministry and CBSE. We welcome you, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Priyanka.
Our second panel member is Ms. Bhavna Narsingoju. She is the principal at Symbiosis Junior College, Kivre, Pune. She's been in the field of education for the last 11 years. Being associated with a junior college, ma'am, we would look forward to your insights on NEP catering to students in the senior secondary stage. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Priyanka.
And our third panelist for the day is a very self-driven and seasoned professional, I would say, Mr. Pranay Oswal, who effortlessly amalgamates education and business. He's the founder and managing director at iCube and is currently serving as the senior director at Besit Education India. Mr. Pranay also leads from the front line as the territory head at the Early Childhood Association of India for PCMC Pune District Chapter. It is a privilege to welcome you, sir, and I look forward to conversing with all of these esteemed panelists today.
Thank you, Priyanka.
Thank you for joining us. So beginning with the panel discussion, we would like to move to our first speaker for the day, Ms. Vishakha Gupta. I would request her to kindly help us understand how the NEP will influence students' choice in subject selection and subsequently how the curriculum will be impacted thereby.
Sure, Priyanka, thank you so much. I would share my screen and then take it forward from here. Yeah, so hello everyone. The NEP 2020 is a revolutionary document that has come after 36 years and has quite a few. It's important to understand that it is a document that describes the government's intention. The detailed guidelines will be given by the intent document. The academic structure, as already discussed, emphasis is placed on early childhood in the 5+3+3+4 formula. Pre-primary education comes under the ambit of formal schooling. This is also important as it is said that 85% of the brain development happens by the age of 6 years. The other stages include the preparatory stage, the middle stage, and the secondary stage, where emphasis in the secondary stage has been laid upon vocational training too. Let me take you through that. The secondary stage gives a wider choice of subjects to students as the stream pattern stands dissolved. Now a child has the freedom to choose subjects across streams. The multidisciplinary study pattern also comes with semester system of examination to augment the subject-oriented pedagogical and curricular style of middle stage with greater depth and critical thinking. Introduction to a foreign language for the course of study will also be available for students. As far as the choice in subject selection is concerned, now the NEP gives more flexibility to the students while choosing the subjects at the class 9 level. Children could choose PE, art and craft, and even vocational subjects. Now here, vocational skills prepare people for work, in professional life or jobs. Therefore, they get the leverage to design their own path of study. This would lead to a very holistic development, which connects the mind, body, and spirit. As attention will be paid to physical, personal, social, emotional, and spiritual well-being of an individual. Barriers between curricular, extracurricular, and co-curricular are removed. Let us understand what these are. Now, the curricular, when I say, it relates to subjects of study in school. Whereas the extracurricular is anything besides studies like sports, outdoor activities, informal practices and all. Whereas co-curricular is outside study, but those that complement a regular curriculum, like musical performances, art shows, debates, robotics, mock trials, math contests, etc. Therefore, no hard separation between all streams has been advocated, and I think it's a very welcome move. When I talk about the reduction in curriculum, the reduction in syllabus has been brought down to core essentials away from rote learning. Now, rote learning is just mugging up and writing the exams without understanding. So possibly the NEP lays greater stress on understanding of the concept rather than just knowing it. This will help to make space for critical thinking. Now, critical thinking is, say, for example, in history, for example, if I say, if Gandhiji was an extremist, he belonged to the extremist line of thought, ideology, rather than the moderates, how would the freedom struggle be? So when such questions are brought in front of children, they start thinking, they start analyzing, rather than just saying, okay, Gandhiji was this kind of a freedom fighter. When I come
Vishaka ma'am, you're not audible, ma'am. Just check. Check the plug point. You're not audible, Vishaka ma'am. Just check it again, ma'am. You're not audible, ma'am.
Yes, Priyanka ma'am, can we have you?
Yeah, Vishaka ma'am.
Hello. Yeah.
Just check it. If your system can support without the earplugs. There's a technical glitch, I believe. We'll give some time to Vishaka ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Vishaka ma'am, you're not audible. And others can utilize this time to get a cup of coffee or a tea and get 1 cup of tea for me as well. Okay, ma'am. We can do one thing, Vishaka ma'am. We'll get back to you because you're not audible. You can check your system. Priyanka ma'am.
Yes.
And, introduce
we can
the second panel member, and then in
True.
we can submit
Yeah.
to Vishakha ma'am. Okay, ma'am?
Sure. I think that would be wise to do.
That's fine.
Okay, so I think we'll go back to Vishakha ma'am once once the issue is resolved. We
Yeah.
now move to the next panel member for time being. Ever since the new education policy has been introduced, we've seen that there is a lot of chaos or confusion regarding the board exams because it's been considered the benchmark exam, and just removing the board has left everyone in ambiguity and confusion. So I would like to request our next panel member, Ms. Bhavna, to kindly brief us on this aspect of how it's going to be the way forward with the new education policy, and also on the changes that we can expect when it comes to higher secondary and degree education. So Ms. Bhavna, over to you.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you, Priyanka, for the introduction. And so, as it is mentioned by Kajal ma'am, it's already a tea time. And I hope you all will be having a tea time, enjoying with this beautiful session. And from yesterday itself, we are enjoying all the session of EduDrone. Yeah, can I continue? Yes, yes. So from yesterday itself, we are enjoying all the sessions which are conducted by EduDrone with the association of Kajal ma'am. So many congratulations, Kajal ma'am, because all the sessions are really great, and these sessions are adding to everyone's knowledge, even to my knowledge, because NEP is really the one now everyone needs to understand. So just before going ahead to all the viewers and participants, I would like to share my personal experience. So on 29th of July, once into the press conference, I believe near about at 5:30, National Education Policy 2020 has been declared. So at the same time, I started receiving messages and calls from my students, and all were having only question that, ma'am, this year board exams will be there or not? मैम बोर्ड एग्जाम्स होने वाले हैं क्या या कैंसिल हो गए हैं? एंड दे वर लाइक सम स्टूडेंट्स वर वेरी हैप्पी बिकॉज इस साल एग्जाम होने ही वाले नहीं है. Some of the predictions were like that also. So as I told, like from yesterday, we are covering all the points of national education policy, and we have gone from early childhood to the efficient resource and effective governance. So let's move ahead and check what is NEP 2020 for higher education or secondary education, as already been discussed. That 10+2 model is now redesigned, and this model is into the form of 5+3+3+4, and here we are the one which we are going to discuss about the secondary level. So my first question, or my first point for discussion is about the confusion of board exam. And with the time constraint, I will be going ahead. So I will be discussing 4 to 5 points only. Second point is about flexible curriculum and combination of subjects. Third point is about competitive examinations. Fourth point is emphasis on vocational education. Yeah, some of the points they have already covered, but let's have some of the lights on these points too. So the first point is about confusion of board exam. So all the viewers and participants, let me tell you all, this is the link from where you can have press release of 29th of July, and where it is NEP which is summarized into some of the points, and it will be easy for us. Instead of going for 66 pages NEP document, you can go for this, and there you can have the points. So here it is clearly described over here, assessment reforms, and into it, board exam for grade 10 and 12 will be continued but redesigned with holistic development as the aim. A new national assessment center, that is PARAT, Performance Assessment, Review and Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development, will be set up as the standard setting body. So board exams will be continued. The first confusion what the students, parents, many of us also were having, that board exams will be there or not. So board exams will be there, only there will be a redesigning. It is over the time, board may think for viable model, like it may be the semester pattern, and even into the question paper, there will be bifurcation as as we have already said, that the primary focus will be on the test core capacities and less on memorization. So as per that, board exams will be redesigned, and into it there will be bifurcation of descriptive pattern and even the objective pattern. So memorization will be less and understanding will be more. The second point of NEP 2020 which we are going to discuss, that is flexible curriculum and combination of subject. So into it, there is no rigid formation of arts, commerce and science subject. So as if you will take example, like if I am science students, but I would like to study physics and economics combination together, which was not possible earlier. But with NEP 2020, this will not be the case. You will be having freedom to select the subjects and you can go ahead accordingly. So there is no rigid formation of subjects into streams. Third point is about competitive examination. So what competitive examination into NEP 2020 says? As we know, NTA, National Testing Agency. National Testing Agency is going to offer common entrance exam. So what is the common entrance exam? So it will be having common aptitude test, and second part of the exam will be particularly on the streams like arts, commerce and science, and what are the career opportunities into it. Accordingly, it will be freedom to university to conduct exams and at least twice every year for university entrance examination. So again, moving to the same topic, NTA will be offering common entrance examination. Now the fourth point is about emphasis on vocational education. As we all know that this NEP 2020 is having only the aim of making our students not what to think. It is about how to think and how to mold our students to think about particular topic or particular application of it. So if, as we know that there is a high demand of vocational skill, today there are so many vocational skills that are accepted into the world, but still that mindset need to get converted, as already been discussed into the third session, that definitely now the parents started changing their mindset and moving towards the vocational skill, and which is going to be having a high demand. So all the vocational skills like construction, manufacturing, computer support, food services, you know, nowadays these all people are rocking. So this vocational skill are again going to get the high demands in the upcoming days. And now if we need to move for NEP changes for higher secondary or degree level, so I'm going to just summarize into some of the points, like as we have already discussed, flexible curricula, creative combination of subject, integration of vocational education, and multiple entry and exit points. So here I will stop. Multiple entry and exit point. So what is exactly the meaning of multiple entry and exit points? When you will be having multiple entries and you can exit at any time. Is it so? Yes, somewhat. So here we can take an example. So if we take one example for 4-year degree program, say for engineering. So if you have completed first year of engineering and into second year, if you feel because of any circumstances you are unable to complete it, then after completion of first year of your engineering, you will be awarded for certificate. You will receive certificate. If you have completed 2 years, then you will be getting advanced diploma. If you have completed 3 years, then you will be awarded with a bachelor's degree. And if you are completing 4 years, then that will be bachelor's with research. So earlier for research, we used to get opportunity after our masters, but now it is somewhat earlier. So here it is the positive side of our NEP 2020. The second point which we can discuss for degree level, that is academic bank of credit. And this is the A, B, C of NEP, which is really beneficial for all the students of degree level. Now, what is the meaning of academic bank of credit or ABC? So just take the same example that you are into final year of engineering. Because of any circumstances you are unable to perform well into final year, But yes, you have performed well into first, second, third year. So the skills, as we all know, NEP is about how to think, and it is giving equal importance to academics and extracurricular, co-curricular activities too. So all these credits from first year and second year will be stored here. It is clearly mentioned that it will be stored, and these credits will be transferred to your final year. So as you will be having final degree with you, these credits will be beneficial for you. No matter if you have any problem into final year degree performance, but these credits will be transferred, and definitely these credits will make a good result for final year, so that there will not be any loss of student. Again, if as we are discussing about the global standards and we are discussing about the research work, so now our students will be getting opportunities for all the research works with very we know all about the IITs and IIMs, and the National Research Foundation will be the one will be setting all this research culture and building the capacity of research across the higher education. So these are very briefly I would like to tell you. These are some of the changes which are there for junior college level or secondary level from 9 to 12 and for degree level. These are the important points, and with this, as I have already said about the certification level, and if into the earlier slide the points were not clear, so what we have discussed is about multiple entry and exit, then about ABC, that is academic bank of credit, and certifications level. So really with this I would like to conclude, and before concluding I would like to tell you all that it is the one that into our history, if we look, we think that we need to be the part of any of the movement, but unfortunately we were not. But yes, now it's the opportunity we are having, because we all are educators, we all are change makers, and this revolution into Indian education system can be possible by having such beautiful platforms and having support of all the educators. So thank you everyone for watching, and I would like to wind up and conclude with a quote that teachers have such a power who can change everything. But teachers are the one, like if any thing is discussed or anything is defined by someone, dreamed by someone, so teachers are the one to execute it. So according to Plato, teachers have such powers that Prime Minister can only dream of. So my all teachers, peer members, educators, let's gear up for the national education policy implementation, and let's move ahead. Thank you everyone. Thank you Kajal ma'am and Priyanka. Thank you everyone.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that enlightening inputs. I think it gave a lot of clarity with respect to the assessment, especially at degree level. I think it's a welcome move when we talk about having the freedom to choose subjects, because more often during our times, of course, everyone here is a graduate, and we would know that we had to stick to a particular set of subjects. And even if somebody was interested to pursue, say, arts, if he was an engineering graduate or from a technical background, he or she was not able to do so. But now with this freedom, I think it's going to be, we're going to have holistic degrees, if I may say so. So that's going to add to your holistic skill set, as well as you're going to be certified for that particular course. I think this is a very good, it's a very good and welcome move. Similarly, for vocational education, I think not only we would say that it's for skills to develop the skills, but in day-to-day use. For example, as in the previous session, we heard someone say like carpentry or repairing an electric bulb. This would help our students to be handy with tasks that they thought that were not meant for them. But now they're going to be more handy with these things. And of course, if somebody wants to do something into fashion designing or music or art, I think it's going to be more encouraging for those students, which was not earlier thought so. Thank you so much, ma'am. So I think, Vishaka, ma'am, we could resume your presentation.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And possibly when, AI is introduced from class 6 to 8, our children will help us take up these problems that we are facing in a better way, and they'll be able to help us resolve it. Okay, so I'll begin from the slide from where we had dropped the connection. Right, so we were talking about the reduction in syllabus, and reduction in syllabus has been brought down to the core essentials away from rote learning. So rote learning is just mugging up and writing it in the exams. No, learn and write. But basically the idea is it should go inside the head. So this will help make space for critical thinking. I had already discussed critical thinking. I was discussing the holistic part of it. And holistic development is a connect of mind, body, and spirit, where attention is paid to the overall development of the student. Now, when I talk about the inquiry-based learning, like I give the children a research topic, they go, they explore, they inquire, they find out, they discuss. So this, develops their curiosity more and more towards learning. When I talk about the discovery-based, say for example, I ask students to generate a strategy of how to solve a problem. The teacher shares with them a similar example, not the same, but a similar example, and the children go ahead based on that cue. The discussion-based learning, the teacher will ask open-ended questions and the children will think, they will discuss, and then they will answer, which will again improve their analysis. The analysis-based learning, like an example could be where we have data or a situation and children come out with alternatives of what could be done to improve that or to avoid that particular problem. Now, again, carrying on, in the reduction of the curriculum, the focus is on the key concepts to bring in more interaction in the teaching learning process. Students will be made to collaborate more with each other. That is, when two or more learners will be working together. So they learn the life skills as well of bonding, of working together, of interacting, accepting, teamwork and all. And they will examine and investigate new material, that is the exploratory form of learning. For example, two students get together to design a robot. So they learn to adjust with each other, listen to each other, etc. Experiential learning also has been given a lot of impetus. So like students of class 9 to 12 are told to design the pros and cons grid, understand advantages and disadvantages of an issue or a situation, or like, for example, the SWOT analysis. Assessment will judge the understanding rather than rote learning. High importance is given to art and sports integration through programs like the Khelo India program and art integration with the subject of the core subject of study. Now, when I talk about the salient feature of the changes, what changes have been advocated, starting with the renaming of the ministry to make it clear and simple as the Ministry of Education. Stress is laid on early childhood education. The policy also proposes a student-teacher ratio of 30:1. NCERT will develop a curriculum of what children learn and how they learn. Also, all teachers and principals will have to take a minimum of 50 training, which is, I think, a brilliant idea, to keep ourselves abreast with what is the latest in the teaching learning process. This has already been discussed, multiple entry and exit programs, emphasis on how to learn, rather than what is being taught, rather than that, how to learn is the emphasis point, and exams would be semester-based. Multiple languages will be made available for students to study. Now here again, a foreign language has been introduced at the secondary level of the stage. NCF will be updated after every 5 years. So, new changes, new thoughts, new ideas with people moving into the NCF committee would enhance and improve, help us, compete with the global world. Vocational education will be provided along with mainstream education. School complexes will be created for sharing resources. Also, professional standards for teachers will be established by 2022 and reviewed in 2030, and then after every 10 years. Board exams can be taken twice a year. The National Assessment Center will be set up to form learning standards. An interesting feature here, I would like to talk about it, is introduced in the policy is the twinning of the private and public schools for hand-holding and sharing resources. I guess this is a beautiful move wherein we can bring the public schools and the private schools possibly at the same platform when they do not have such, some schools which need assistance, and that assistance can be provided by the private schools. Therefore, for some positives that I feel they're close to me and I appreciate them, according to me, are setting up of the NACSE to design learning standards uniform across all boards. Now, I feel this is a beautiful thing to do so that all standards, no matter which board the child studies in, there is uniformity. Right now, schools struggle a lot with it. When a child has to move from CBSE to ICSE or ICSE to state and back to CBSE, there is a lot of disparity. Emphasis on formative assessment and vocational studies, and the setting up of professional standards for teaching. So with this, I rest my take on the National Education Policy and hope it is implemented well. It is a great and a progressive document, and I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think, yes, it was well said. It's a beautiful move where the government has introduced the twinning of the private and the public schools, because so far we have seen the private schools, or you would say students of the creamy layer of the society going to particular schools and the rest left behind. And yes, and honestly, that makes all the difference, the infrastructure. But now with the sharing of schools, and I believe even the colleges are being shared, merging of the higher institutions with those where they are not doing financially well. So I think it's a beautiful move, as ma'am said, getting all the students on one platform and giving them equal opportunities. So I think in the true sense, now we are going to move all the students into mainstream or one stream, I would say. Thank you so much, ma'am, for those insights.
Thank you.
Okay, now we move on to our third panel member, Mr. Pranay Oswal. I would request you to present your brief overview of the new NEP 2020, focusing on its history and how far we have come ever since the education policies introduced from 1947. Also, if you could guide us on the marking pattern for examination in context to higher education in NEP 2020. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Priyanka. Really nice of you to ask me that question. And most importantly, wish you all a very good evening. I know it's a lazy afternoon, it's a Saturday evening. And most importantly, a lot of you all are just waiting for this session to get over and just spend your maximum time with your family. However, I must congratulate the entire team at EduDrone, and also Mrs. Kajal Chatija and her entire team, her viewers, all her parents, all the teachers, and my dear students. The adventure of being last but not the least as your speaker for the day is there's a lot of tremendous pressure and an equally parallel, an adrenaline rush that leaves you to make sure that, the lasting thoughts which you leave are very strong for people to remember. So I'll be as fast as I can since I have a lot of things to share with all of you. And most importantly, I'm going to talk about the NEP 2020 secondary stage from grade 9 to grade 12 between ages 14 to ages 18. But before we go there and talk about our youngest citizens, let's try and understand the beauty of the largest democracy on planet Earth, that is Mother India. So my first question to all of you, y'all can just type this in your chat boxes. Y'all could write this anywhere. How many of you all are under the age group of 35 years?
Raise your hand.
Y'all could raise, or y'all could just give a thumbs up in the comments column.
Yeah.
So I'll quickly wrap it and also go, and parallelly y'all could also post it. So you comprise of 65% of India's population. So you should all be extremely proud of yourself. Okay. Let me ask you another question. How many of you all watching this summit, the School Leadership Summit, are under the age of 25 years? Okay. Okay, so you should equally be very proud of yourself because you comprise of 50% of India's population. So, okay, our viewers seem pretty representative of our country today. However, now comes the big question on the new education policy. How well can we align this entire vision document with our democracy and also not make a disaster out of it? So let's try and understand the demographics of our country first. So our total population is around 135 crore plus. We have more than 750 districts in India. We have more than 4,000 cities in India. There are more than 6.49 lakh villages in India, more than 2,50,000 gram panchayats in India, 28 states, 8 union territories. 1947, our literacy rate in women was barely 9%. Okay. At the same time, in 2020, our literacy rate in women is almost 64%. Our literacy rate in 1947 for men was 16%. At the same time, for men in 2020, it's 70, that is 70%. And some intriguing facts about India's education system as of 2020. So we are often used to study the PESTEL analysis, which is nothing but political, environmental, socio-cultural, technical, environmental, and legal analysis. So we have more than 15 lakh registered schools in our country, more than 30 crore students in our country, over 80 lakh we have at the moment in our nation, out of which, mind you, 1,08,000 are single teacher schools, out of which more than 85,000 are primarily in the age group of 1 to 5. But the good news here is, from 26 universities in India in the year 1947, we have come to 993 universities in 2020. From 700 colleges in India in the year 1947, we have come to 39,000 colleges in present India. And out of this, 11,000 we have standalone universities in India. In the year 1947, we have only 4 lakh students in higher education. But at the same time in 2020, we have more than 3.7 crore students who are pursuing higher education in India. We also had a couple of our viewers who were asking about the 6% commitment which the government of India has shown, right? So let me tell you, India's GDP is roughly around 146 lakh crores, out of which the government has shown the commitment of spending almost 8.7 lakh crores. Sounds interesting, but the beauty here is over the last so many decades, we have not invested over 3.5 to 4%. In fact, all these years put together, we have not invested more than 4% of our GDP in education standalone. 25%, let me also talk about the numbers and why is it that the 21st century, the first policy of the 21st century is so powerful. Reason being so obvious, because the whole world is watching at us. The average median age of an Indian is around 26.8 years. However, it could be debated that in Africa, in Niger, the lowest median age in the world is around 15 years. However, we cannot compare Niger with India because on any parameter, on any ground, that cannot be compared with India. However, the average age of a Japanese is 48 years. The average age of a Chinese is 37. Average age of an American citizen is 39 years. The average age of a European national is somewhere around 43. At the same time, in Russia, it's 40 years. At the same time, in India, I once again repeat, it's 26.8 years, the average median age. That is the reason we are also preparing for the strongest workforce of the 21st century. All right. Now, when we talk about certain things, wherein Dr. Daulat Singh Kothari, when he came up with the 1968 policy, there is a reason why we have been following the British education system. All right. His education was primarily in the University of Cambridge, and he was very strongly influenced by Meghnad Saha and the Britisher Ernest Rutherford. That is where, and that is the reason why we have always been strongly promoting and strongly talking about the British education system. At the same time, we are just 1 month old today with the new education policy. I'm very happy to say that the new policy was made exactly on the day of my birthday, and the last policy was made 34 years ago. That was also in the year 1986, the year when I was born. So the year I was born and this present year, that is my current birthday. So I'll always have a lot of interest in reading this policy time and again. At the same time, when we talk about the new policy, more than 2 lakh suggestions and advices were accepted by the new commission. More than 1,000 vice chancellors and 20,000 principals were present for the policy discussions when they were submitted to the Prime Minister and the Education Commission. Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan, Dr. Krishnaswamy Kasturirangan, who is heading this chair, who is the chairman of the new National Education Policy, you will be very glad to know that he is a laureate from 16 different universities. He has got this PhD from 16 different universities, doctorates from all of that. But at the same time, there's a lot of emphasis that's given on vocational education throughout, because he himself is a scientist. He has been there for a long time. But a very good news for all our educator friends, especially in higher education, is in the last week of September 2020, Mr. Amit Khare, there was another panel discussion. I was a part of it, wherein Dr. Kasturi Rangan, Amit Khare, DP Singh, chairman of UGC, Amit Khare, who happens to be, for all those who don't know him, he's the Secretary of Higher Education. The good news here is there will be a dedicated, detailed 150 pointer recommendation come action plan exclusively focusing on higher education alone. Okay. So we have to just wait for that because we are barely 1 month old with the new policy. At the same time, the new policy is very strongly talking about research across all levels. It is talking about pure research. It is talking about applied research. It is talking about transnational research. It is talking about industrial research. At the same time, it is also setting up the National Research Foundation just to ensure the entire vibrant ecosystem is put together under this. There is also a discussion going on to actually eliminate AICTE, UGC, NCT, and come up with a single regulatory body. Just a few moments ago, Mrs. Bhavna, she mentioned about ABC, that is the Academic Bank of Credit. So a lot of importance, in fact, a very strong importance will be given to the ABC, that is the Academic Bank of Credit, which would be equally linked with Aadhaar and DigiLocker. At the same time, Olympiad examinations and all similar examinations will be given equal weightage. So I don't know if many of you all are aware about this. So we at iCube has also authored these books wherein we are conducting IQ-based examinations. So all these things will also be given equal importance, and the merit and the certification of these examinations will also be considered equally right after your 10th grade. When we talk about a couple of more interesting things over here, as of now, we have only 40,000 international students in India, out of which the government is also planning to bring this number drastically and pull it up. It is also promised to get the top 100 universities in India, but nowhere it is mentioned that which is the rating it's going to follow. It is also talking about that we will be setting our campus abroad, but at the same time, we should be very proud about the fact, because it's indeed a great achievement for our country. Because just like we were celebrating Chandrayaan, I think we should also celebrate the new policy. We are just 1 month old. It is the first policy of the 21st century. All of previous speakers, starting from Mrs. Bindu, starting from Mrs. Shilpa Solanki, Mr. Gaurav Kapoor, Mr. Chandar, and many others, they have spoken about vocational importance. I liked a lot of things which they covered. I've been taking notes. In fact, my pages are full, everything what they have been talking about. But the beauty here is the policy is strongly emphasizing on Ban Bhatt's the Kadambari, which is talking about 64 arts, 64 Vidyas, which everybody needs to talk about. All of you all, please take out time today and read Ban Bhatt. He's from the 7th century, and he has written the 64 Vidyas which everybody should master. And if at all we try to do this, the amount of importance and the amount of interest which you will all have in reading the policy will be significantly phenomenal. At the same time, it is also talking about intellectual development. The policy is also talking about aesthetic development. It is talking about social development, talking about physical, emotional, moral, spiritual, all of these integrated together. Now, another important thing is it's also talking about introducing Sanskrit and the Indian knowledge systems, all of this. But I personally feel there is a very strong importance which this policy very religiously and consciously Dr. Kasturi Rangan and his nine-member committee, they have shown is to make sure that they are talking very strongly about violence, plagiarism, literacy, tolerance, equality, empathy, and all of these things. At the same time, he's also talking about imparting 21st century life skills. Nobody is talking about how to cope up with depression. Nobody is talking about how to cope up with failure. Nobody is talking about how to cope up with feelings like jealousy. Nobody is talking about how to cope up with feelings like insecurity. Nobody is talking about how to cope up with a crazy divorce in a family. So people and children should be taught about all these things from a very early age, and that is what this policy is also going to be a little hopeful for a lot of other people as well. At the same time, it's also talking about cluster development systems. It's talking about complex systems and creating knowledge hubs similar to like what you have like the automobile hubs. It's talking about STEM education. It's talking a lot about STEAM education. And most importantly, it also is talking about learning to live together. It is also talking about a lot of things. And the 4 E's are very strongly covered: expansion, exclusivity, excellence, and employability. We just need to come up with more frugal engineering. We are talking about Jugaad, right? So everybody is talking about Jugaad, but we are not talking about real development, real invention. We are talking about copying and making it at a low-cost product in India. So we have forgotten that when we had our heroes and the legends which we have given to the world, Brahmagupta, who came up with the word Shunya, right? And that's how we got rid of the Roman numerals and got away from all of that. At the same time, we should be also very proud about the fact that there is no question we cannot do anything wrong or anything crazy about it. The fact is 95% of our 12-year-old across the country can read and write. So that is the biggest worry, which the United States, China, and Russia combine. So we should just start thinking like an American. We should start thinking like a Russian. We should start thinking like a Chinese. That is the reason why they're afraid of any normal Indian. All right. And last but not the least, I would also talk about one thing wherein, briefly speaking, we had played a very minuscule role in giving our contribution to the national education policy. All right. So when we were present in Bangalore, at the roundtable discussions which were submitted to the National Education Policy 2020 on the 26th of September, which was hosted by the International Didactics Association, I still appeal and talk about the same, that to seed empathy in the power holders. I repeat this once again. I request you all to please listen to this. I've been screaming across and talking about the same thing time and again across multiple forums. But this is where I personally believe that if we really want to see the change, if we want to see the empathy in the power holders, I believe every minister's son, every minister's grandson, every minister's daughter, every minister's granddaughter should enroll their children only in a Balwadi or a Anganwadi. Every minister's son should put their children only in a municipal K-12 school. And God forbid, if something goes wrong with any of their family members, they should only visit government hospitals. Only then we can see there is some change happening in our country. And unless and until they do not have their own blood on the system, they will not do much about it. And believe me, everyone, if we do everything the way it is done, we can say to the rest of the world, we are coming. Thank you, Priyanka.
Wonderful, Pranay.
Thank you, sir. It was indeed a very motivating presentation, I would say. The key learnings would be, I think, which we all would like to highlight is the academic bank of credit, as sir reiterated. Integrated learning for all the children, collaboration in the teaching learning patterns, flexibility in the courses are offered at the higher education level. And of course, I think it is a very good learning what Mr. Pranay underlined, that the new education policy seeks to do a marriage of the modern education while also being firmly rooted in our Indian Vidyas. And I think it's a good learning. Like myself, I think everyone is going to look up to about 64 Vidyas, and hopefully the NEP is going to move our focus towards the other Vidyas, which were all the years, I think they were not focused on, they were always thought of extracurricular. Like the previous speaker said, I would like to share a small anecdote in our interaction with Mr. Manish Sisodia. He very rightly said that when you term any subject as extracurricular, it is understood or it's taken for granted that you do not need to pay attention to it, because it's either going to be grades or there is going to be some teacher taking up that subject period for her syllabus completion. So giving or rather removing the term extracurricular is a very welcome move. And we are looking at more holistic changes that this national education policy is going to bring about. And thank you, Mr. Pranay, for giving us a very exhaustive overview of the demographics of India and how this is going to impact the youth of India tomorrow. And like one of the policymakers had rightly said, that this education policy not only aims to, kind of revamp the education system, but rather revamping India in coming 20 years if everything goes fine. And I think with the support and the enthusiasm that the educators are showing today, I'm sure India is headed for a positive change. Thank you so much. So
now we have.
Thank you so much, all the panelists, for all the very valuable inputs. I'm sure we had a lot of learning and a lot of take-homes today. Thank you all. Over to Mrs. Kajal now.
We have Ashish Gupta from FinanceSphere as our guest speaker, and he is the senior product manager. So as you can see, he looks quite young for being the senior product manager. So I really want to know from him, and in such young age, he's reached at this height. I'm really looking forward to your Ashish Gupta. Please share your experience.
Thanks, Kazal, for kind words. Uh, just to add to it, right, all the panelists have summed up the national education policy really well. So I cannot add much to it, but I will add two things that really excites me as an outsider and as somebody who is really interested in education and how it shapes the nation, right? So the one thing that really excites me is the output that we'll be having after this policy is integrated. The output in our job market, the output which will go out for startup world, the corporate world, and all. So I remember one quote from IIT director, right, V. Ramgopal Rao. He said, "Right now we are producing engineers that know how to build very good dams, right? But building a dam is not just about civil engineering. It involves political aspects, the financial aspects, the environmental aspects, other aspects, which right now we lack to a certain extent. I know a lot of institutes in India, especially IITs and IIMs, are trying to do that. So I can name a few. IIT Delhi has a very good humanities program which they have started. IIT Kharagpur has a very good medical program. IIT Bombay is always known for its MBA programs and all. So a lot of universities are trying to do it, but what the new education policy does is gives more impetus to it. It forms a structure around it. The thing that our panelists have been mentioning, that the streams that were very well defined till now, like an art stream or a science stream or a humanities stream after 10th, that would be diluted, and what we will see is a better outcome for all of us. So just to quote one more thing is, if you see the one of the most successful startups that India has been producing in last decade or so, most of them have been created by people from IITs. So once you go into a domain, once you get very well trained in engineering, you still need so many other skills to succeed in life. And I think this education policy is gonna really help us, all of us as a nation, and everybody into getting that skills, that we're not just confined the arts, science, and humanities stream. We can learn much more than that. So that kind of output that we see in our job market and in corporate world, in the startup world, it really excites me. And plus that, in terms of once this happens, right, for even for students and all, I think there's one more need that we need to see, that once we give more and more opportunities and options to students, the role of counseling and other things becomes more and more important. Be it the teachers, be it their parents, the role of counseling, career planning, and all will be more and more highlighted now onwards. And we need to make sure that our current generation of students are properly guided towards it. Here, the roles of education, institutes, and parents are very well defined. But I think as other people, like we are running a very for-profit social impact company, right? Finance Peer, which is helping in school fee financing. It also gives option for us to explore more and more options. What else we can do apart from financing? What else we can do? Be it in terms of content that we can create, or we can partner or deliver to our final customers, or be it in terms of counseling, education counseling, mental well-being, and physical health. Can we create product around it? So those are the challenges that I see. I'm really excited about how we'll carry it out, because if we see the overall idea of this policy is very, very forward looking. And if you compare with the developed nation like UK, US, and their biggest universities, they all have these kinds of programs where the boundary of streams are reduced. So yeah, that really excites me. Yes. So I think that's all from my end. I'm just hoping to see where we'll reach after this policy is implemented in next 5 to 10 years.
Okay. Thank you, Ashish. Uh, and now I would like to tell you something more about Finance Fair and what wonders they are creating. They are helping children, schools, leaders, parents, and there's a special message, from Vivek Oberoi for everybody present over here. So I request, Pranay to share the video. And we have one more video which will take our session to the peak. So please be with us for next 10 minutes and we are ending it on time. Play the video, Pranay. You have to play it. Yes. Volume. There's no volume. We can't hear. Pranay, just stop sharing. I will do it from my system because we can't hear. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll just try from my system. Just stop sharing.
Sure.
I'll try doing it from my system. Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait. I'll just